Wow, we got to midweek already, but we have. Welcome to Wednesday, everybody. Motoring right through. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio. Appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. I don't know what it is about this time of the year. Maybe it's just everything coming together at once. A lot of things coming to a head. There are a lot of crazies to talk about in the news today. A lot of them, including Rosie O'Donnell. Big news about her. And you're going to think that I'm going to make fun of her. I mean, that's just not the case. I don't usually talk about the celebrity stuff, but she's got to be included in this. But EDS continues. This is the phrase I coined yesterday, Elon Derangement Syndrome. But that has led to a big development in his Tesla company. Yeah, there's more attacks in the Tesla dealerships. But at the White House yesterday, you might have seen this. This resulted in Trump getting a new ride for himself, and he got to pick him out. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice if a dealership showed up with all of their models in front of your house, and you got to decide? And he wrote a check on the spot. And he said, I don't want any discounts. We'll talk about that as well. And an incident happened inside the White House, speaking of that, which is amazing. It's not just politics. I think it's just human nature. An AP reporter had a meltdown, and he was like admonished like a third grader inside the White House press room, and it was fantastic. All of this stuff, all of these crazies and more coming up in the news. But first of all, let's get some business out of the way. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio, as always. And the replay here, don't forget about that on X. Thanks for the likes and follows and shares and all that good stuff. Very important. And on YouTube and on Facebook as well. But the audio podcast, a lot of you listening on the audio only, don't forget that we live stream every single day, just about 8 a.m. Eastern time on those same platforms. But on the audio side of things, if you haven't found that, thanks for the downloads and shares. Appreciate you so much. Let's get to it. Let's get to some of the stuff. Now, the bad part of this is, before it gets humorous, is Elon Derangement Syndrome has only continued into the work week. Firebombing Tesla dealerships. The least harmful thing that's happened to a lot of these cars is spray painting on the side. Now, that's bad enough. But some of these Teslas, a lot of them, most of them, for whatever reason on the West Coast, have been firebombed. Tesla dealerships have been harmed. You know, the protesters have been outside. That's no big deal, carrying signs. That's no big deal. That has continued. Now, the development in this is Trump announced yesterday that he's going to label those people that do that to any Tesla business, but then he says any business whatsoever, a domestic terrorism case, which is pretty big, and that's only going to escalate because that's going to mean big arrests, and the crazy people who are doing this kind of stuff are only going to escalate. You know what that's leading to. But this has led to something else, and I'm sure you saw the video of this. But a couple of big things came out of the announcement yesterday. So, in support of Tesla, because this thing happening, an American company, which, by the way, I didn't even realize this till yesterday. I think I'd heard this in the past. It's the most American-made car company in the world. Didn't even realize, right? And we also know it's been the leader for quite some time, just being the nature of what it is, the biggest electric car manufacturer in the world. And yet, the people protesting it, they were always in favor of the Green New Deal before. All of a sudden, they don't like electric vehicles? Is that what you're telling me? But the violence against these has continued, and they think they know who the people are, the agitators are, whatever. Trump made that big announcement. But he also said this, we talked about this yesterday. He also put out that Truth Social post, and he says, in support of Tesla, I'm going to buy a Tesla, and I'm going to write a check, and basically everybody buy a Tesla. That's basically what he said. Well, yesterday, it comes to pass. How nice is this? Tesla, with Elon, of course. I guess when the boss calls you up and he says, hey, bring like 6 models, including a Cybertruck in front of the White House, and I think he's going to buy one, so be there in 2 hours. So you jump on it, right? And there they were. All the models in front of the White House, and Trump got to choose. And he chose the red, what is it, Model 5? Is that what it is? And he looked at them all, and he looked in, and he goes, I like that one. And it sounded like this.
I like this that one.
And how does this work?
And I want that same color.
Are you going to put down a credit card? Elon, would you take a personal check from the president?
I do it the old I give checks. Sure. I like checks.
Realistically, I think his credit's good.
Do you still have access
I like a check better than this modern system of all of a sudden there's money in your account, nobody does. I like signing a check, sort of. But we're gonna, and I don't want a discount. He would give me a discount.
I don't want a discount. I think that'd be a bad look. I don't want a discount. Yeah, but you had the Tesla dealership bring all the models to you, Mr. President. I mean, that was pretty nice. Did you catch the Elon statement in there, too? Well, the reporters are shouting this at him. What do you like? How are you going to pay for it? Blah, blah, blah. Elon goes, I think his credit is good. I think I know where to find him. It's okay. And it brought up the question, too, and I've thought about this before. And I think I posted this online, and people, I don't know, for whatever reason, this touched a touchy spot for a lot of people. I asked the question, has anybody seen Trump drive? Like, is there video of it? I've never seen it. As much video coverage as there is of the guy. I mean, even going back to like the 80s. I've never seen him drive, except the golf cart, of course. Everybody knows that. But God, the responses were like, well, of course he drives. Of course he does. So what do you mean? Stupid question. Well, whatever. I've never seen him like, the guy has been a multi-millionaire going back to his 20s. I mean, let's face it. When you've got that much money, you can have a driver. And thank God he has throughout all these years. I've never seen him drive. Like, I would love to see, like, his driver's license picture. That would be amazing. And in Washington, D.C., if he has to update it, imagine the DMV in D.C. giving him an update. Mr. President, you have to update it's time. You have to renew your license. He should just send in the mugshot picture for him. for his license picture. But I don't know. So that's what happened there. Now, in response to all this, and yes, it's all coordinated. Oh, Sean Hannity bought a Tesla himself too. So this has become a thing. So, supporting an American company and the backlash against the violence against Tesla because of the EDS, Elon Derangement Syndrome. Elon, after this whole thing, where he brought his cars to the White House, he posted this yesterday. In support of the policies of President Trump and to demonstrate our confidence in the future of the U.S., Tesla commits to doubling vehicle production in the U.S. within 2 years with a bunch of American flags. And it just sounds like it's a kind of like a scratch my back, I scratch your kind of thing. But there's something more to this that a lot of the people, a lot of the crazies that have directed their ire and their hatred of Trump towards Elon now and try to affect the Tesla stock, which so far, by the way, honestly has actually affected it so far. There's something they're missing about, I'll just call them conservatives or regular Americans who can afford it. Let's throw that out there, right? Trump and Sean Hannity and some other people, I think Grant Cardone and some other people have all bought Teslas yesterday. They can go ahead and do that on a dime. The rest of us, it's a little bit different, right? It's a big deal to buy a new car. But in general, in the long game, there's something so... Lefties never understand how conservatives work. They just don't understand the human nature of this thing. Conservative folks will always fight back that way. And they'll always... This will wind up being a positive thing for Tesla in the long run. Just for spite. And the president led the charge in that thing. Tesla stock is down. I would bet you, I would keep an eye on this thing, and it's probably a good time to buy. I don't give stock advice. But if I was to buy Tesla stock, this would probably be the time. Because things turn around for that. Perfect example of that is this. This is the difference in a mindset, I think, between people on the far left, and you can call them far right if you want, or you can call it common sense and conservatism. Doesn't matter. It's a different mindset in two. It started about a week and a half ago. Started making... People on the left started to try to make memes, funny little pictures of J.D. Vance, and you saw them all over the place, right? Making fun of him, the chubby face, and they were doing AI and putting him in different situations. Here's what happened, and here's what people on the left don't understand about people on the right. Conservatives started to grab that and grab ownership of it, and they started to make their own memes of J.D. Vance, and they're making all of them now, and they were funnier. And it led to the point where J.D. Vance started liking and sharing the memes of himself and even made one himself and took ownership of it. That's a great technique when somebody's making fun of you on something, just to take ownership and you do it yourself and you control it. That's the difference here. And you can apply that to Tesla too. There'll be a lot of support for Tesla coming down the road here from exactly half the country. That's how the backlashes against the backlash always work. But people, I don't know what it is about people who have derangement syndrome. They never understand that. They never look past the sale and understand what the far-reaching effects are, ever. Another example of that, and this was a little bit of a beatdown in the White House press room. Speaking of the White House yesterday, I guess that's our theme. Caroline Leavitt, the new press secretary, holy God, what an upgrade this has been. She's been very competent, very direct, and she's doing her job very well. But there's been a clear, consistent theme in all of her press briefings so far. It's happened a couple of times, but yesterday was the best one ever. When a lot of the White House press corps, and there's been controversy about, getting rid of NPR and all the other things, and they've brought in some new media and some podcasters every once in a while applying for White House press credentials, and the traditional news media has been all upset about that. And they're pushing back. And there's been another thing, too. When they try to add a personal insult to Caroline Leavitt, which may have worked before in the past, man, does she not put up with it at all. Perfect example. The topic of these tariffs, specifically against Canada, which Trump instituted yesterday as well, or at least the day before yesterday, came up. She was briefing the press and the country on that. And this AP reporter speaks up, and he starts working his own personal story about tariffs into this as if he's the main character and not just getting the information out to the American people. Number one, she wasn't having it. Corrected him. And third point on this is, man, what a beatdown this was. And I'm here for it. I think this was fantastic. This is the start of it and also the finish.
Security benefits, he is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They
That's
don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press.
Oh, oh, I'm so here for it. Oh, God. But the criticism, of course, from the AP has been childish behavior from Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary. No, I don't think so. I think this needs to happen, and I think it's going to happen. You know that people usually don't stay in that job too long. The previous one did, but they usually do about a year and then they move on. I don't know how long she's going to be in there, but I would bet during her tenure, she's going to toss somebody out of that room. Like she kind of handled it like a very confident teacher. How about the AP reporter, too? He opens up the question by saying, have you actually dealt with tariffs? Because I have. Way to make it about yourself there, guy. And doesn't that just sum up the AP in general and like the mainstream press and what people have a problem with? Oh, my God. And she just wasn't having it. Now I regret calling on the AP. I think it would be great. Toss one of them out of there. Throw them out. Like a misbehaving child. Fantastic. Toss him out. Get him out of there. God, she's good at that job. I'm all for it. And she would be completely supported by the rest of the country, too. Fantastic. All right. Speaking of leaving and getting tossed out, getting out, this is an amazing story. Rosie O'Donnell has deported herself. That's right. She has left the country. She has left the United States of America. I have a surprising take on this that you're not going to expect. But where did she go, first of all? Well, let's go to Rosie herself. She's been quiet for a little while because you know what it's like to move? It's supposed to be moving, across the sea. It's very involved. It makes complete sense that she's been quiet for a little while. But Rosie, where'd you go?
And I'm here in Ireland.
Oh!
And it's beautiful and warm. Not physically, it's actually quite cold. Moved here on January 15th. And it's been pretty wonderful, I have to say. The people are so loving and so kind, so welcoming.
My first thought was, we're sorry to do that to you, Ireland. We really are. We're very sorry. But you know what? You're going to think that I'm just going to make fun of Rosie O'Donnell for doing this. And it's not at all. Nope. None whatsoever. None of that coming from me. Because you know what? She said she was going to leave the country if Trump won again. And she did. Unlike a lot of these other celebrities who said, remember they were all listing themselves, they were going to leave. Who were the other one? De Niro, Luke Skywalker there, Mark Hamill. Wasn't he another one? Mark Ruffalo. I don't know. Bunch of Hollywood phonies who had claimed that they were going to leave the country. We're going to leave. Just like in 2016. And nobody actually did then. Oh, we're going to leave. I'm going to leave this country. I'm going to leave this country if that dictator gets elected again. None of them did. Except her. All the respect in the world. Absolutely. You said you were going to do it, and you absolutely did it. I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. Good for you. Good. And now, the reason behind it, I think, is absolutely ridiculous, and not everybody can do that. Not everybody can just up and leave like her, but she did, and she followed through with her word. No criticism whatsoever. Is this going to start like some kind of an exodus of all the Hollywood phonies who claimed that they were going to leave and never did? No, I don't think so. She just did. Good. And there's another thing, too, here. This was just from like a personal video. And Rosie does these really up-close phone videos, and she's done them before. I feel good for her. I really did. Now, she's insane. I get that, right? Not just a different personal opinion. I think she's really got some mental problems. Whatever. Neither here nor there. I'm not here to judge. Just here to observe and to make some comments. But compare that video to the ones she had made in the past couple of years. Now, they got really crazy all through election season, and then they got really, really crazy after the election when you-know-who won, and she didn't like that too much and said she was going to leave. And give her credit, she actually did. There's a stark difference between that video and what the ones were before and what it sounded like. I really get the sense that Rosie O'Donnell has found some peace in her life. It sure seemed that way, and I'm rooting for that. Somebody that follows through on her word and actually said she was going to leave the country and does good. Good for her. No problem whatsoever. Good. I hope she does find peace over there. Absolutely right. Good. Good for her. Because I think we need more of that. But anyway, there's a little bit too much celebrity news for me. We usually get into that. I got to get out of here. I'm out of material, and I actually catch a flight. So that's happening right now. Speaking of which, little programming note, I'm going to be in for the rest of the week and into next week, New York City. So if I don't have a live stream going on, I'll at least record something for the audio podcast. But we'll see about the situation going on there. So that'll happen. But hey, I've done this live stream from the woods before. Remember that when we first started it? So unless I'm defeated by the technology, nothing's going to stop me. But in the meantime, thanks for finding us, and thanks for finding the audio podcast. Wherever you get them, usually 9 a.m. Eastern time, that posts whatever your favorite audio podcast platform is, and also live stream here right on X and the replay on YouTube and on Facebook and all that good stuff. All right. Who the heck knows what's going to happen tomorrow? We have no idea. Hopefully less, as Trump calls it, domestic terrorism. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But for one thing for sure we know is that there's going to be crazy people in the news, and we're going to talk about them. Have a wicked awesome Wednesday. Don't take any crap from anybody. We'll talk to you then.